and the most vulnerable in our society. For starters, they're talking about a loss of 1.3 million jobs. That's 600,000 in the public sector and 700,000 in the private sector. And this idea is just about tackling so-called public sector waste. It's one of the major lies that's been told in this country today. The private sector, along with the public sector, will be devastated by these job cuts. And it won't be the last. In actual fact, the scale of job cuts will build and build as these cuts go on. As far as pensions are concerned, they want us to work more, and they want us to work longer and pay more. The value of our pensions will go down by something like 15 to 25%, but we'll have to be paid more for the privilege. But at the same time, the rich in this country are getting tax relief to the tune of £10 billion a year, which we are paid to pay for their pensions. They also want to hold their wages down at the same time as putting VAT up to 20%, with inflation running at 5%. They want to attack us in every facet and every aspect of our lives. And if you're a young person, you've got the ability to go into higher education, make sure you've made the wise choice of being born to rich parents, because if you weren't, you're going to find it a very difficult job indeed. If you think the health service is going to be a ring fence, that isn't going to happen either. They want the big companies to come in and deliver health services, and if you can't afford, then you can go to the dogs. And all of this is supposed to be about debt, about the national debt. They tell us we're living beyond our means, but the reality is for most working people, what we have is a daily struggle to make ends meet. The stuff about the debt is absolute nonsense. There's always a national debt. And what the Tories, with their Liberal friends, are doing is using this as a once-in-a-generation opportunity to dismantle the welfare state, the public services, and to claw back everything that we've won over the course of the past 100 years. They want to privatise our services, they want to cherry-pick what they can get profits out of, and they want to cut the rest. And the impact on our communities is going to be absolutely devastating if we don't stop it. And it's got to be a scandal that all the major political parties in this country enjoy a consensus that there must be cuts. But this, of course, is absolute nonsense. And there is an alternative. And my union, PCS, is trying to publicise that alternative. First of all, let's start with tax. Today in Britain, £130 billion in tax is evaded or avoided by the rich and by big business. I pay my tax, you pay your tax, the rich bastards should pay their tax too. We hold £850 billion in bank assets. Let's not leave that lying in the bank's vault. Let's have that. Clear the national debt and invest in the public services. We need jobs. We need a million climate jobs to deal with the problems of global warming. And instead of using cuts in housing benefit to socially cleanse our inner cities, let's have a massive programme of council house building to stimulate the building industry and to take away homelessness. And we must stop being shy about the public services. We should be proud of the public services. The public services are not a debt. They are an investment in people and communities. So when my union says no cuts, no privatisation, that is precisely what we mean. And this law, this coalition government, in the cabinet, 23 out of 29 are millionaires. People who have lived in a bubble of privileges and don't know what it's like to struggle from day to day. But the main point is this: these people have no mandate for what they're doing. They haven't consulted. What we're seeing in this country is a political coup on the basis of the rich, on the basis of the well-off. And what we're witnessing is not an attempt to tackle an economic problem. What we're talking about is a massive transfer in wealth from ordinary people to those who are already obscenely rich. It is open corruption and it's gangsterism. We call upon the TUC to organise industrial action and campaign against these cuts. We can stop these cuts, they are not inevitable. We have to use everything in our armoury. That means organising our communities in your street. Every time a library's closing, we should be opposing it. Every time a swimming pool closes, we should be opposing it. We'll use all campaigning methods, industrial action, and yes, direct action when it's appropriate and when it's necessary. And let's give this message to the politicians. If you're a Liberal, get out of the coalition now. If you're in Labour, if you're Labour Council, don't set budgets that are going to destroy our people. Refuse to cooperate with them.